Cette vidéo vous est présentée par la boutique Lillojeux.ca, un service personnalisé par une équipe de passionnés d'ici. Salut gamers, bienvenue à Professeur Board Game. On est en direct du Gen Con 2023. We're at the Thunderworks booth with Keith. How are you, sir?
Yes, very good.
It's last day of Gen Con, so we look a little bit tired, but how was your convention so far?
The show's been really good. It's nice to see numbers back up again. It's just fun to be part of the big community, and everybody's having a good time.
What game did you bring to Gen Con this year?
So the new title for Thunderworks at Gen Con is called Dawn of Ulos. It's a fantasy economic game. Plays 1 to 5 players at about an hour and a half, and it's from designer Jason Lentz. It's a very interesting game. When people think of fantasy games, oftentimes they're not thinking about economic games.
Yeah. But often they're train games, right?
Right. It is not a train game, but so the thing that's cool about it is you are buying low, selling high. You're investing in these different fantasy factions. You're playing as this god, as the world has just been created, and these fantasy factions are entering the world, and you're influencing how big they get, and putting your influence into them. And then when they hit a conflict, because eventually they're all gonna butt heads a little bit, and then you get to kind of play your cards and manipulate who wins the battle, who doesn't, and some gods are going to benefit from that, and some gods are going to feel the pain.
So that's a game with a lot of interaction, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty high interaction game, which is kind of unlike most Thunderworks titles.
Yeah.
But we like to do lots of different things here. We don't like to kind of do the same type of game over and over again. So we've got a writing game with cartographers. We've got our dice manipulation game with role player. We've got our polyomino game with 10 Penny Park. So we like not to repeat ourselves over here and kind of push into all the different great types of games that are out there.
Nice. And you guys just finished another Kickstarter with another game in the role-player universe?
Yeah, so Stonespine Architects just finished on Kickstarter. That is a drafting game, right? That's the first time we've done a drafting game where you are building a fantasy dungeon in a 4x4 grid. And it's very puzzly. It's from the same designer as cartographers, so you can kind of imagine kind of what a lot of the scoring is like. You're looking for columns with certain monsters in them, or you're trying to build a path from your entrance to your exit of your dungeon. It's really a good time. It gets done in about 45 minutes. Plays 1 to 5 players, so did really well on Kickstarter. And we also offered a mini expansion for the game there, and then we also offered a mini expansion for cartographers on there as well. And if you're interested in that, you missed the Kickstarter, we're taking late pledges. You can get there from the Thunderworks Games website or from the Kickstarter page as well.
Great, we'll check it out. And you have also released Goblin Vaults in the last year, a little card game.
Yes. So Goblin Vaults is a game that I designed.
Oh, nice.
So this came out earlier this year. Small, kind of almost like a traditional card game where there's suits and numbers. But at its core, it's a tableau building and auction game. So it's got some real tricky elements to it. It's a small box, but there's definitely some little brain burny stuff in there. But you're building a tableau. Each turn, you're going to bid on a card with cards in your hand, and then you get one chance to bid. And the winning player is going to take the card that they bid on, and then the card that they used to bid becomes the card available for bidding on in the next round. And then the losing player's bid, if they bid on something and were outbid, then their card goes into their tableau. So you want to bid on the card that you want with a card you don't mind getting if you lose your bid. So it's kind of got some real fun kind of mental dynamics going on.
Very tricky.
Yeah.
Nice. And how many games there is in the role-player universe now?
Oh, it's a lot. So we've got Role Player and the 2 expansions. You've got Lockup with the expansion. You've got Role Player Adventures, and then with the expansion. And there's a second expansion that's on the water called Gulpax's Secret. We ran a Kickstarter for that last fall. Backers will get that in October and retail in November. So I'm losing track already. And then
Goblin Vaults.
We've got Stonespine that's coming.
And Dawn of Ulos.
Yeah, Dawn of Ulos, that's correct.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, so we're doing about 3 games a year now.
Okay.
This year was Goblin Vaults, Dawn of Ulos, and the Role Player Adventures expansion. So it was a lot of World of Ulos, Role Player World stuff this year. Next year, we'll be releasing a cyberpunk game called Metro Runner, which we're hoping to get to Kickstarter later this year. If we can squeeze it in before the holidays, we'll see. And then we've got another game about Genghis Khan coming, which is definitely not Role Player Universe. And then we have Stonespine, which will come. So we've got 1 Role Player World and 2 non-Role Player World next year.
It seems a great plan for next year.
Yeah, thanks.
And any other plan in the future to expand the role player universe again, or expand maybe the role player franchise with dice manipulation?
Yeah, so
maybe a legacy game. I don't know.
there are plans. So we're gonna do. I've got another dice manipulation game I've been working on, which I'm not going to talk about too much. Okay. But there are some more role player world stuff coming. You know, if Dawn of Ulos continues to do well, we'll probably do an expansion for that down the road. And you know, we've got other plans that we're not talking about. But yeah, right. You'll see more in the role player world, but you'll see more stuff outside of it as well.
All right, we'll check it out. And to finish the interview, can you say something in French?
Oui.
Oui, oui, that's good. Thanks, Keith, and have a great Gen Con.
Thank you, man.